You know, I kinda wanna buy that Sturgill Simpson CD now. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2019 zombie comedy film, The Dead Don't Die. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All of my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. The Dead Don't Die stars Bill Murray, Adam Driver, and Tilda Swinton, and was directed by Jim Jarmusch. It focuses on the three-person police force of Centerville, Ohio, as a series of strange occurrences affect the small town and its unusual inhabitants. As the strange events ramp up, the officers soon find themselves dealing with a full-scale zombie apocalypse. The Dead Don't Die is a very weird movie. With Jim Jarmusch as the director, that's kinda a given, but I think a lot of people will go into this movie expecting it to be something it's not. So let me say it again. The Dead Don't Die is a weird movie. It's odd, it's bizarre, it's peculiar, and it's definitely not gonna be for everybody. It's been marketed as a zombie comedy horror, and it is, but probably not the type you're expecting. If you go into this movie thinking you're gonna be getting something along the lines of Zombieland, you're gonna be disappointed. This is definitely one of those movies where having the right mindset going in is gonna have a big impact on whether or not you enjoy the film, or at least appreciate what it's going for. So one more time, with feeling, The Dead Don't Die is a weird movie. Even though this film can certainly be classified as a horror comedy, both of those elements are very subdued. Let's talk about the horror aspects first. It is a zombie movie, but the focus definitely isn't on the zombies. It's more of an eccentric, small town slice of life movie that just so happens to have zombies. It's a bit of a slow burn and never gets super exciting or action packed, even when it does get going, but it does have some decent moments of zombie gore and some unique visual effects regarding the zombies themselves. But like I said, the horror is very subdued, so if you're looking for scary or tense zombie moments, this isn't your film. As far as the comedy goes, it's pretty hit or miss. It's extremely dry, deadpan humor that has this quirky tinge to it that I think is a bit of an acquired taste. Bill Murray and Adam Driver both have that same deadpan delivery style, so the combination of the two of them really worked, but there were a lot of deliberately slow, silent moments of intentionally dead air that made the movie feel quite a bit longer than it actually was. Beyond the deadpan delivery, this movie relied on two other things for its humor, both of which had varying success for me personally. The first was repetition. There are several lines of dialogue that are spoken more than once, either by the same character or by multiple characters. I found that when a line was repeated by multiple characters, it just worked a lot better and was much funnier than the lines repeated by the same character. The several wild animals line was an especially amusing example of this, and its final repetition was probably the funniest part of the movie for me, even though it's subtle and not laugh out loud funny. The other major source of comedy for this film was its meta humor, and again, some of it worked really well, other bits not so much. None of the characters quite break the fourth wall, other than perhaps a bit of narration we get here and there, but a few of the characters are very much aware that they're in a movie. There are references to the director, to the script, to improvisation. Some of it gets a little overused, but the recurring meta gag regarding Sturgill Simpson and a particular song was very funny to me every time it was brought up. I think my favorite thing about this movie was its referential nature. It's not a spoof, it's not really a parody, but it has a lot of nods to other zombie movies and horror movies in general. Some are directly referenced by name or by a not so subtle recreation of an iconic scene, while others have indirect references or thematic homages. Just in this first watch, I caught references and nods to Nosferatu, Psycho, Zombieland, Pet Sematary, The Battery, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Shaun of the Dead, The Walking Dead, and even The Birds. I'm sure there were others too, so if you've seen this movie and caught other references, make sure to post them in the comments below, because I'm actually really curious to see what else they managed to cram in there. I've already talked about some of the pacing and comedy issues with the film, but the story's also kinda underwhelming. There were a lot of subplots that never got any resolution, and a lot of characters who were introduced and set up who ended up having no real contribution to the story. I didn't mind the slow build-up, and I actually really liked the tone of that first act, but unfortunately things did kind of fall apart by the end. I have a feeling it was intentional, but it sort of felt like they didn't know how to end the movie. I can see a lot of people disliking this film because it doesn't really go anywhere. There's no real interesting or satisfying payoff to the story. But like I said before, this movie's not really about the zombies or that aspect of the plot. Deeper underlying social commentary is something the zombie subgenre has been about for quite some time, and this movie puts its environmental concerns very blatantly front and center. So blatantly, in fact, that I think it was more of a plot device than the film's actual message. I really think The Dead Don't Die is actually about horror movies in general, and fans of those horror movies. You've got the very meta, self aware humor, and there's a secondary character who's really into movies and knows the rules of zombie movies. Of course, there's also all the movie references I mentioned, including the incorporation of some of the underlying social commentary of those movies. Consumerism from Dawn of the Dead, racism from Night of the Living Dead, humanity's apathy and lack of understanding from Day of the Dead. It's all woven into this story in a thematically interesting way. This is a movie for film fans, but it also repeatedly pokes fun at those same fans. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one has gotta be the references and homages to other zombie and horror films. A few are pretty obvious, but it never comes across as annoying or distracting. In fact, it actually enhanced the experience for me, and I think the overall movie was intended as a love letter of sorts to the genre and to film in general. It definitely pokes fun at cinephiles a bit, but a movie that uses a line like, "Your knowledge of film is impressive," as a compliment is okay in my book. The second pro is the humor. At least some of it. The comedy in this movie is pretty hit or miss for me, but when it does hit, it's quite enjoyable. There's nothing in this movie that will get people cracking up, but some of the subtle, dry humor and dialogue was pretty funny, and a lot of the meta aspects were clever funny. On the con side, the biggest issue this film has is its story, or lack thereof. It spends quite a bit of time building up the plot and setting up a multitude of different characters, only to throw most of it away during the third act. A lot of subplots were left unexplored, and a lot of characters and actors felt wasted. Other than the 4 or 5 top billed actors, everybody else in this film really contributed nothing more than a bit part or cameo. They were all fine in their roles, but felt unnecessary. In a movie as slowly paced as this one, cutting out superfluous characters and subplots, like the whole juvenile detention center thing, could have gone a long way towards improving the movie without affecting the plot at all. The second con is the weirdness. Now, obviously, this is a very subjective thing, much like the comedy. And knowing Jarmusch's style, I expected the weirdness, so it wasn't something that took me aback or anything, but most of it really wasn't my cup of tea. It's just weird. Tilda Swinton's character especially, but that's also no surprise. This movie goes in some very strange directions, and because I kind of went into it expecting that, I was able to just roll with it, but I can see people vehemently hating some of the "what the hell just happened" moments. I'm gonna give The Dead Don't Die 3 out of 5 paws. There were some aspects of this movie I really enjoyed, and some that I thought really fell short. Ultimately, it's a film that I had a decent time watching, but not one that I can see myself revisiting very often. There are a lot of other zomcoms out there that are much more my style. I would recommend The Dead Don't Die to horror fans who like weird, quirky movies. The movie definitely has a lot of references and themes that cinephiles will enjoy, but it'll be tough to fully appreciate them if you can't get on board with the movie's weirdness. It's very dry, it's very odd, and it's very Jarmusch. This is basically an art house zombie movie, so if that doesn't sound appealing to you, I doubt you'll think this movie is anything more than just okay. If you liked The Dead Don't Die, I've got a couple film recommendations that stem from different aspects of this movie. If you really like Jarmusch's style and want to see more of his take on horror, check out Only Lovers Left Alive. Rather than zombies, it's an art house take on vampires, and prominently features Tilda Swinton being weird again. If you liked some of the deadpan humor, but couldn't quite get on board with just how weird it all was, I think you'll like Fargo. It's not a horror movie, but it is a stylistic dark crime comedy. If zombies are your thing, any of the movies referenced in this film are good choices. But if I had to narrow it down, I'd say start with the classics, Romero's Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. And if you're just in the mood for an awesome zombie comedy, you really can't go wrong with Shaun of the Dead. Not only is it my favorite horror comedy, but it's also my favorite movie. Like, of all time. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen The Dead Don't Die? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's a movie that ended up being something entirely different from what you expected it to be? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information on this review, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.